Pippa Middleton steps out in Chelsea for the first time since her father-in-law was charged in France with alleged rape of 15-year-old girl. Pippa Middleton has been pictured stepping out in Chelsea for the first time since her father-in-law faced allegations of raping a 15-year-old girl. Multimillionaire businessman David Matthews, 74, was charged by French authorities over an alleged rape of a 15-year-old girl in the late 1990s. He strenuously denies the allegations against him. And yesterday it emerged Matthews is facing claims he raped a second woman, as South Yorkshire police are said to be investigating a new allegation of rape from another woman dating from the 1980s, The Sun reported. Pippa was seen out and about in London today locking up a bicycle and taking off a cycle helmet, as she stepped out wearing a light grey coat and dark trousers. In Paris last week, investigators said Mr. Matthews had been arrested over the alleged attacks on a 15-year-old girl in Paris and the Caribbean island of St. Bart's. The self-made multimillionaire and his wife Jane own a £5,000-a-night hotel on St. Bart's, where friends suggested he was the victim of a revenge plot by a woman seeking to settle a score. A family source insisted Mr. Matthews had been set up to humiliate him and his family, just months after his financier son James married Kate Middleton's sister. The woman at the center of the claims contacted police last year and initially told officers Mr. Matthews had acted inappropriately towards her when she was 15. She then told police from the French Brigade for the Protection of Minors she was raped in 1998 in St. Bart's, when she was 15 and Mr. Matthews was in his 50s, and a year later in Paris. The woman, now 35 and living in Britain, told police she had initially blamed herself for the attacks, which left her feeling shocked and disgusted. She reportedly told police, "Afterwards I felt like I was to blame. I developed feelings of self-loathing and felt worthless." Mr. Matthews was stopped at Paris-Orly Airport last Tuesday and charged with raping a minor, an accusation he has vehemently denied. He was held for 48 hours and questioned before appearing at the Palais de Justice, where he was charged with the rape of a minor by a person with authority over his victim, a crime that carries a maximum 15-year jail sentence in France. Mr. Matthews' official status with French prosecutors is mise en examen, which is widely considered to be similar to being charged in the UK, although there is no exact equivalent in the British legal system. He has since been released on bail and has been told he can leave the country, although he is expected to return to Paris as the investigation continues. Authorities have up to 6 months to decide whether he should stand trial or the charges should be dropped. Mr. Matthews' father started him on the road to better things by leaving mining and setting up his own garage near the town of Rotherham, where he grew up. He started work there as an apprentice mechanic. But he soon found that he was better at selling cars than fixing them. He did try his hand at motor racing, and was seen as promising until he was in a serious crash at Silverstone in 1973. Which left another driver dead. Instead, Mr. Matthews concentrated on building his own second-hand car empire, with motor dealerships and interests in luxury coachmaking. His first marriage was to Anita Taylor, herself a motor racing driver. They had a daughter, Nina, but later divorced. He married for a second time to bohemian artist Jane Spencer Parker, now 70. She was working as a receptionist at Christian Dior when Mr. Matthews saw a picture of her, and was so taken that he tracked her down and married her. After living in a Rotherham bungalow, the couple moved to Paris, then Monaco. On holiday in 1995 they loved the Eden Rock Hotel on the Caribbean Isle of St. Bart's so much they bought it. He and M. Spencer Parker had 3 sons. James and Michael were born within 18 months of each other, but there was a 13-year gap before the youngest, Spencer, came along. Spencer, now 28, found fame on reality TV show Made in Chelsea. Their eldest son James married Pippa Middleton last May. The Matthews' middle son Michael tragically died when he was 22 on a Mount Everest expedition. South Yorkshire police refused to comment on the second accusation yesterday. A spokesman for Mr. Matthews did not immediately return requests for a comment last night. At the time of last week's allegations, a spokesman for Mr. Matthews, who is represented by the Queen's solicitors Farrer & Co., said, "David Matthews categorically denies the allegation and unequivocally contests the untrue and scandalous accusation."